Hello class 10th. We were on the control and coordination in animals, and today we will be studying about the reflex action, reflex arc, nervous tissue, skull, brain, CSF and many more things. What is a reflex? Reflex is an involuntary and sudden response to stimuli. Just think about that. If anyone has pointed you, then with a sharp pencil, then that response will take time. So a reflex is an involuntary function that is not under your control, and it is a sudden response to the stimuli, that sharpened pencil which is being pricked to your hand, to that response. It happens to be an integral component of the framed survival instinct. It means it is a sudden response. Most of the common reflexes are a response to a well-trained, accumulated knowledge of cautious, and we have internalized means. Over here comes the memory. It could be anything and ranges from the reflex action. Okay, that is, can be withdrawing the hand from the extremely hot or the cold objects. Also, this is also a reflex action. A point to be thought upon is that we all have our instincts, and upon the past experiences and understanding. A reflex is a reaction which is triggered by this instinct only. The event that precedes a stimulus in any organism. What are the events that are occurring? The first event begins with the receptors detecting a stimulus from the sensory organ. The stimulus could be in the form of pressure, temperature, or the chemical. This could be followed by sensory neuron. Now, till stage, you must be knowing what is sensory, what is motor, what is effector, what is effector, sending a signal to the relay neuron. The relay neuron then sends. Relay over here is the middle passage, which is going to send the signal to the motor neuron. And the motor neuron sends a signal to the organ or a cell that acts to the stimuli, that is called as the effector. Finally, the effector produces an instantly response such as a knee-jerk reaction. Have you ever experienced this knee-jerk reaction? You would have. What is a reflex action? Again, by a diagrammatic representation, as in your NCRT is also given. The receptors are there, the sensory neuron which is taking, which is called as the effector, and the motor neuron which is bringing it from the central nervous system, which is called as the effector. The relay neuron in between is there, which is giving the message that yes, we have to pull our hand back. Reflex action is a sudden, involuntary response of the effectors to the stimulus. Okay. In this reflex action, the nerves in the skin, the receptor detects the heat and passes the message to the sensory nerves, to the spinal cord. You can just go through this diagram. Its diagram is very important from academics point of view and can be asked, and you should practice it. Reflex arc. The pathway of the reflex action is called as the reflex arc. In reflex arc, the stimulus is received by the receptors and by the sense organs. Then they are passed to the sensory nerves, to the spinal cord, then spinal cord to the motor nerves, then to the effector, to the muscles, to the glands, and a response is given. What are nervous tissue? The space between the meninges, the membrane which is there, which is filled with the fluid called as cerebrospinal fluid. It works as insulators and it protects us, as it protects the brain from shocks and mechanical injuries. The fluid also maintain a constant pressure in and around the brain. The vertebral column or the backbone which protects the spinal cord. Now over here is the neuromuscular junction, where the muscles are attached to the nerves, and which is also helping. The nerves are helping the muscles in contraction and relaxation, for the movement, for the voluntary functions also. How does nervous tissue causes action? Now it is a coordinated, because as we are reading the chapter control and coordination, so over here also lies the control and the coordination, and this coordination is a specialized reaction to a stimuli to conduct impulse to various organs in the body, which brings about response to any stimuli. Nervous tissue is composed of neurons. Neuron is the basic and the fundamental unit of the nervous system, which transmit impulses, and neuroglia which assists the propagation of the nerve impulses, that is maintained by the dendrites, the axon, the cell body, which is going to the synapses there. Voluntary and voluntary muscles are which are under our control, and involuntary which are not under our control. A very good example: voluntary muscles include skeletal muscles, and involuntary includes the smooth muscles and the cardiac muscles. Just think about and make a list of the voluntary and involuntary actions in your body. Hormones in the body, the hormones that we study in the endocrine system. Control and coordination over here also includes the endocrine system. What basically are hormones? Hormones are chemicals that essentially function as messengers in the body, which help us, which provide the message that how much secretion should be there from the chemical. These chemicals are secreted by special glands known as endocrine glands, and they are distributed throughout the body. These messengers control many physiological and psychological health functions also in the body. This is a slide showing the difference between enzymes and hormones. Why? Because I thought to share with you the difference between enzymes and hormones. Over here, hormones are also proteins and enzymes are also protein. And what is the difference between the two? Over here, hormones, which can be protein, but sometimes amino acids and steroids are also with it. Enzymes, macromolecules with a high molecular weight. Over here, hormones have a low molecular weight. Enzymes, they either act intercellularly or carried by some duct to another site. Exocrine it can be. Hormones, they are generally carried by the blood to the target organ, that is an endocrine system. Enzymes always act as a biocatalyst and increases the rate of the metabolic physiological process, means lowering the activation energy. Hormones, which which can excite, which can inhibit in the physiological action. So the mode of action is a bit different in the enzymes and hormones, which is very important. Hormone control reactions are not reversible. It is very important. But enzymes reaction are reversible. You must have gone through in your chemistry. Few reactions are there which are reversible, but hormone reactions are not reversible. Effect of concentration: the reaction rate increases with the increase in the concentration, but only up to a limit. Hormone deficiency or excess of hormones causes metabolic disorders and many diseases. Hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, and the blood sugar diabetes because of insulin is also an example of it. Enzyme acts quickly. Hormones are quick acting, while some are slow acting also, because they have a lag period in between also. You must go through the growth graph, that is the lag, the log, and the stationary phase. Consumption. It is not used in the metabolic function, they are used in the metabolic functions also. What is metabolic function? That is anabolism and catabolism, photosynthesis and respiration. Types of gland. In human body, in animals, three types of glands are present, that is exocrine, endocrine, and heterocrine. Exocrine are the glands that have ducts for secretion of their products, like sweat glands, salivary glands. Endocrine glands are ductless glands and they lack ducts and pass their secretion in the blood only, like pituitary gland, thyroid gland. But few glands in the body are there, like pancreas, which consists of both exocrine and endocrine tissues and which performs both the function of endocrine and exocrine. Like pancreas are there, gonads are there, where gametes are formed in the reproductive system. Endocrine part of the pancreas secrete hormones like insulin and glucagon. Insulin reduces and glucagon increases the blood sugar. The exocrine portion secretes the pancreatic juice containing the digestive enzymes also in the digestive system, as we have studied in the life processes. These are the list of hormones which are present in the human male and the female body. Go through that. The pineal gland, pituitary, and the hypothalamus, which controls the body temperature. Also, parathyroid, thymus, thyroid, pancreas, ovary, testes, adrenal glands. The major function of the endocrine gland that is there in your syllabus is pituitary gland, thyroid, pancreas, and adrenal. Pituitary gland, which consists of growth hormone and many other group of hormones, and they regulate the normal growth of a person, which can cause giantism and dwarfism. They regulate the functioning of the thyroid gland, adrenal gland, production of the testosterone by testes and estrogen by the ovaries also. Thyroid gland secretes thyroxine. You must have heard about hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism, which controls the body metabolic reaction. Lack of thyroxine causes goiter, and sufficient iodine in the diet prevents goiter. Pancreas secretes insulin. The feedback mechanism of insulin is very important, which controls the carbohydrate metabolism. Lack of insulin secretion causes diabetes. Adrenal gland hormones are there which keep the salt. These are present in the kidneys, which is osmoregulation, means where they are going to balance the osmolarity. Osmolarity means the salt concentration of the body, the water concentration of the body is going to balanced by them. Hormones in the body. The hormones that we study in the endocrine system. Control and coordination over here also includes the endocrine system. What basically are hormones? Hormones are chemicals that essentially function as messengers in the body, which help us, which provide the message that how much secretion should be there from the chemical. These chemicals are secreted by special glands known as endocrine glands, and they are distributed throughout the body. These messengers control many physiological and psychological health functions also in the body. Now, this is the task of the day for you all. Over here, you have to use the keywords to label the reflex arc. Do it in your notebook and do submit, and then also explain the three questions given. Thank you, class.